Hello guys, welcome to another session. In this session, we are going to look into HTML body section. Here we will learn about how to create content within HTML using text and images within the body of the HTML. So let's look into the topic. What are the topics we are going to cover over here? Start our discussion by revisiting HTML document structure. The HTML document structure which we have already discussed in one of the session earlier. Then we will look into how to insert paragraph within body of the HTML. Then we will learn about how we can mark text as quotations. Then we will learn about emphasizing the text within HTML. Then we will look into reading the small print, where we will look into some of the tag which will help us to design the text that will give us the meaningful information about the text. So here we will design to-do list. We will see how to strike out the completed task with the help of HTML tags. Once we understand that, then we will move further and we will look into marking the text. Over here we will look into some of the tag which will help us to highlight the content of HTML within the HTML document. Once we understand marking of the text, we will look into how to write pre-formatted text on HTML content. Once we understand that, then we will look into how to modify the text, and here we will learn about how to create superscript and subscript text within HTML document. Once we understand that, then we will proceed further and we will look into how to insert code block within HTML content. Once we learned about this thing, then we will proceed further and we will look into how to decorate tooltip text within HTML document. After learning various techniques for formatting the text within HTML, we will then look into how to add images within HTML document, and at last we will look into a direction of languages. That means how to handle the text of the language which is being written from left to right as well as right to left. We will do some example to understand these concepts. So let's again jump into the HTML document structure diagram. So we are into HTML document structure diagram. If you remember this diagram, we have already discussed about this diagram in one of the session, where I mentioned that an HTML document is being divided into two parts. The first part is the head section and the second part is the body section. Head section we have already seen in the earlier session, where we understand that what are the things comes into header section, like incorporation of JavaScript file, incorporation of style sheet file, title, metadata creation using meta tag. We have also seen how meta tag is helping in search engine optimization. Now in this session onwards, we are going to look into the body tag, that is the second part of HTML document. So in this session we will look into various techniques where we can design HTML content in various ways. Now let's jump into the Visual Studio Code, where we will insert a paragraph. So we are into Visual Studio Code. Now we will create a file, and here we will mention that body content creation examples. So HTML extension, we need to specify that. Once it is being done, let's write some code. To generate the code, if you remember, I have told you to use the snippet. So you need to write HTML5. This you can select that. Then it has generated the HTML document for us, so we will use it as a boilerplate, and then we can proceed further to write the HTML code. So we are doing paragraph demo, so write it paragraph demo, and then once it is being done, we can generate some paragraph. If you remember how we can generate the dummy text, yes, we will use lorem. You can write it, save it. So it has generated it. So to define a paragraph, we are going to use, there is something called p tag. So you can use it, and that should be enclosed here. Now this is one paragraph we have created. Now suppose if you want to print a horizontal line, so how we can do that? We can use a tag called hr. So it will generate an horizontal tag. Now again we will generate another paragraph. So again we will use lorem. So use lorem over here, save it, and here we will again use the paragraph tag p and paste it over here. Once it is being done, what we will do, we will save it, copy the path, and let's jump into the web browser. Now paste the path, enter. Let's look into that, how it is coming. So here you will see that our paragraph is coming like this, but it is coming in one line. So what we will do, we will break it into two lines using br tag. So let's do it now. So now you can write over here wherever you want. I want here, then you can write br tag, same is the case with the another one. Copy this one and you should write over here. So it will break the line. Now let's look into the demo web page. Now refresh this page. Then you will find that it is being displaying in another line. So this way you can easily insert a paragraph within HTML document. Now let's move further. Now let's look into the quotations. Now suppose if we want to print the dialog within the HTML document, then how do we can do this? Suppose I have a paragraph that is representing a dialog. So let me write it. So I have written it. Suppose if we have this dialog, if we are printing this, then you will find that it is printing as is. So it doesn't look like any dialog. If we want to format this text as a dialog, so we will use Q tag. So here I have put Q tag. You will see here. Now see the effect, what kind of effect it brings on the text of HTML content. So let's go to the browser. So here we will refresh the page. Come here, click on this. Now you will see here it is converted as a dialog and it is surrounded by this double quotes. Another tag which help us to insert quotation within HTML document, that is block quote. Let me write an example. Now I have written an example. Here you see that I have used the block quotation and see the effects. What are the effects it brings? So let's jump into the browser, refresh over here, and then you will find that a block quotation is nicely represented the dialog within the HTML document. So here in block quote there is an attribute that is called cite. This is a tag attribute. This represents the source of the quotation. That means from where this quotations comes from. Now let's proceed further. Now let's look into emphasizing the text. Here we will look into some of the phrasing elements of HTML5. HTML5 provides 4 phrasing elements that can be used to emphasize text within body of a document. So let's look into that, what it is. So we have B tag, that is mainly representing the boldness of font. So the text closed within B tag is enhanced without conveying extra importance, such as keywords in a paragraph typically displayed in a bold font. Now moving to the italic tag, text enclosed between I tags is enhanced without conveying extra importance, such as technical terms in a paragraph typically displayed in an italic font. So these two tags, the bold tag and the italic tag, is not conveying the extra importance to the text. Now we will look into a strong tag and the EM tag. Both tag will represent the text in the same way how bold and italic tag display the content, but as per HTML standard, strong tag gains increased importance without changing the meaning of the sentences. This also displayed in bold font, but it conveys the extra importance. There is another tag that is EM tag. This tag should be stressed to deliberately affect the meaning of the sentence. So EM tag generally display the content in italic font, but it conveys extra importance to the text. So let's jump into the Visual Studio Code and we will see one example and where we have used all these tags. Now let's create a document as usual, and here you can click on new file and provide it a name, emphasis.html, and here we will generate the tag with the help of snippet. So let's generate the HTML document over here. So we have generated. Now change it over here, give it a name, emphasis example. Now let me write the body, then I will explain. Now here I have written some paragraph using p tag, and here I have used all the 4 tag which we have discussed. That is the bold tag, which starts with B, and we have a strong tag, and at line number 18 you will find that we have used italic tag, and within that from line number 19 to line number 21 you will find that we have used EM tag for emphasizing the text meaning. So let's look into the output. What output we are going to get. To get the output, you just right click on it, copy path, come to browser and paste it over here. Let's look into the output, what output we are getting. So see here, you will find that the bold tag and the strong tag is giving the same presentational appearance, and the same case with the I tag and the EM tag. Representation wise, both are giving the same representation, that is italic. The text will be displayed in italic. As I already discussed about the differences between the I tag and the EM tag. EM tag describes the importance of their content relative to surrounding text, and a strong and EM tag are more relevant to suggest how narrators should convey their content vocally. So in short, it is recommended that you should use a strong instead of V tag, and you should use EM instead of I tag. So let's proceed further. Now we have a topic called reading the small print. So let's discuss about it. So in certain scenarios, we need our text should display smaller compared to other text within the HTML document. For example, if we want to display a copyright symbol within the footer or somewhere else in the HTML document, then in that scenario, we will use small tag. So now let's look into the example. We will use the same HTML document and where we can put a paragraph, and within that we will use the small tag. So let me write that. But prior to writing an example, I wanted to tell you in HTML, if you want to write a comment, so you have to start an angular bracket, then not equal to sign, then minus minus, and then afterwards to close it, you need to do minus minus and then angle bracket closing, and within that whatever you will write, so it become commented, so that means it is not being processed. So just write example. For here we will write a small tag, so we are going to write the small tag. So let me write the example now. So let me pause it and then I will come back. So here I have written this example. You can take this example from the resource section and you can also go through if you don't want to write it, so you can use this resource and you can also run through. So here you can find that this portion I want to show small within the given paragraph, so I will tag it with the small tag. So let's look into the output, how the output will look like. So I am in the browser, just refresh it, then you will find that this portion is displaying very smaller. So generally we will use it in the footer section. So when we design our web page in upcoming courses of this series, on that time we will design the footer section and where we will use this. For a time being, you just consider that if you want to print anything smaller, then you can use the small tag. It is generally used within web page for displaying the footer section copyright symbol. So now what we will do, we will design the to-do list using these tags, where we will use h1 tag for header, paragraph tag, and we are going to learn a new tag called del, which will strike out the text. And then we will also look into the insert tag that is represented as ins. So let's jump into the Visual Studio Code. So we are into Visual Studio Code, so let's create a new file and we will give it a name, lab to-do list.html, and now we will generate the HTML code for HTML5. How we will do, we will use snippet. So write HTML5, select it, so it has generated the HTML document for us. To-do list demo. Now what we will do, we will use the header tag, paragraph tag, del tag, and insert tag. So let's do it. Let me write it first and then I will explain you. So now I have written it. So see here we have used for header, we have used h1 tag, and then we have the paragraph, normal paragraph tag, and then we have also used the del tag which will strike out the stars, and then we have used in star. Now let's look into the output of this HTML document. Just copy it, copy the path and paste it over here, enter. So see here you will find that header is represented as bold and this is normal paragraph, and we have a strikeout. This formatting you can achieve through del tag, and then we have sweep the yard. This is the new task item, so their presentation is little different, and then we have also used the del tag to strike out the text. So this way you can design the to-do list in HTML5. This HTML is very straightforward and static HTML without using the CSS and JavaScript. Now let's proceed further. Now we will look into marking text. Marking text is referring to highlighting of a text within HTML document. So let's look into that. Now suppose you want to highlight the newly inserted text. So how we can do that? We will use tag called mark, and here you can apply that tag and see the effect, what the effect we are going to get. So just save it and go back to the browser. So this is the browser. Now let's see the output in the browser. So now just refresh it. Then you will find that the mark tag has highlighted the content or highlighted the text. So here it is representing that you have inserted a new to do item and that is being highlighted, which end user can easily recognize. So now proceeding further, now let's look into the example. So to understand the pretext, what we have to do, we need to put this figure, and we will see that if we will put this figure, and what will happen if we will not apply pre-tag over here, then what kind of output we will get. So let's jump into the browser and see the output. If you will refresh the page, then you will find that it is not printing in a correct manner as we have printed the tree over here. Now let's look into the magic of pre-tag that is used to print the pre-formatted text. Now let's put the pre tag over here. We will write pre, close it as well. Here, save it. Now let's jump into the browser. Now refresh the page. Then you will find that the pre-formatted text printed very beautifully, as we are seeing that the bird is sitting on the tree. Now let's proceed further. Now we will look into modifying text. Here we will learn about how we can print or how we can format the HTML text as superscript and the subscript. For example, if we want to write a formula for water, or if we want to showcase a square root of any number into an HTML document, then in that scenario we will use super tag and the sub tag. Let's jump into VS Code. So let me write an example for you. Now I have written it. You can also use the same resource from the resource section. You can take this where we are doing lab to-do list.html. Take this file and you can also run it if you don't want to write it. Else you can pause the video and write this thing. Now see here, I have used sub tag for superscript and sub tag for the subscript. Now let's look into the output, how we can get the output, and just look into that. Now we are into the browser, just refresh it. So here you will find that with the help of subscript we are getting this formatting of the text, and with the help of subscript we are getting the formatting like this. So let's proceed further. Now we will look into how we can format the text of a code into an HTML file. As in certain scenario, suppose you are writing a blog of technical paper and where you want to put the code of a particular language like C, C Sharp, C++, Python, any of them. And if you try to write it in a normal HTML document, it will not give you the expected formatted output. Now in this example, we will look into another tag that is called code, which will be used within pre-tag. So let's look into that. Let me write the code and then I will explain. So now I have written the code. So let's look into first without the pre-tag and the code tag and see the output how it is coming. Let's paste the path, enter. So you will find that it is coming like this. Now let's use the pre-tag and the code tag along with this code, and then we will look into how the output is coming. So let's write pre-tag first, cut this down, keep it here, and then we will use another tag called code, and after that we will cut this and put it prior to pre-closing. So just save it. Now go back to the browser and here we will refresh it. Then you will find that the output will be coming like this. So now let's proceed further. Now we will look into how to add tooltip within an HTML document. So let's look into that. We are going to use the same example, and over here there is another tag we are going to use, that is dfn. Need to write dfn and the title, what tooltip we want to provide, and we will write it code snippet for C language. Close it, cut this closing tag and put it prior to closing tag of code. Save it. Now go to the browser and refresh it. You will not get anything over here. You just need to put your cursor over here. Then you will find the code snippet for C language. That is a tooltip. It is coming. So this way you can introduce tooltip using an HTML5. So let's proceed further. Now we will look into adding images. Here we will look into how to add image within an HTML document. Let's look into the example. So I am into Visual Studio Code. So here we will create a new file, and here we will tell that image demo.html, and now we will generate the code. You know that we will use the HTML snippet, HTML5 snippet. To do that we need to write HTML, select this one, remove this one, and provide a meaningful title, that is image demo. And now I will use another tag that is called img to add the image, and I am having a folder over here, and there is one image we are having, that is html icon.png, and this image I am going to display within the HTML page. So let me write the code, then I will explain. So I have written the code. Here you will find that we have image tag, and where we are having an attribute, tag attribute called src, where we need to specify which image we want to display within the HTML document. Along with that we have another attribute where we need to specify what would be the width and what would be the height, and then we need to also specify if image is not loading, then what alternative text it will display. So let's look into the output. So as usual we need to copy the path and go to the browser, and here we will paste the path and run it. Then you will find that we are getting the image which is being inserted within HTML document with the help of img tag. So let's proceed further. Now we have a last topic, that is directing languages. This is basically related to the formatting of a text other than English language. So to do that, we generally use Ruby tag, that is Ruby annotation. Don't confuse with the Ruby programming. It is not that. So we have Ruby annotation within HTML5 which will be used to format the Japanese and Chinese characters or say text. So let's look into the example. So we are going to use the same file, but let me write the code first, then I will explain you. So now I have written the text over here, that is a Japanese text. Now I want to print this Japanese text, then I need to use this Ruby annotation and with surrounding with RB and the RT tag. So let's look into the output. Now you should come here, refresh the page and see the output. You will find that the Japanese character is printed like this. So this is the way you can use Ruby annotation for foreign languages other than English. You can also use it for Arabic language. So we are done with this exercises. Let's proceed further and wrap the session. So in this session we have started by revisiting the HTML document structure. Then we have learned about how to insert paragraph. Then we have seen include how to include quotation emphasizing text. When we have learnt about how to print smaller content within the HTML document, then we have done one lab to design the to-do list. Then we have seen how to mark your text. We have also seen pre-formatted text, how to display pre-formatted text within HTML document. We have learnt about how to print the superscript and the subscript. We have also seen how to include code within your HTML document, and we have also looked into the tooltips. If you want to put a tooltip within certain element of HTML document, then how we can do this with the DFN tag. And then we have also looked into the adding of images within HTML document. And in the last topic, we have seen that how we can use Ruby annotation to write the foreign language within the HTML document. So on this note, I am stopping over here. See you in the next session. Till then, bye bye, take care.